Hi, good evening. Welcome to Sistabiz. This is Tamara and Nicole. How you doing, Nicole?
Hey, I'm great. As good as to be expected.
Good, good. I'm on the move. So
Let's see.
you know, hopefully this is okay. You can hear me okay? Hopefully my
Yes, I
connection
do.
is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we haven't been on. We weren't on last week, and we actually were not going to get on today because of the upcoming holiday and everything. But we thought there was so much going on that we should catch up with
Mm-hmm.
everyone and just discuss what's been going on. I mean, we had a interesting verdict today. Another interesting verdict was it earlier this week. Yeah. And hold on a second. And yeah, we have a lot going on locally, and we haven't talked about local politics in a while, but I don't think we have a choice at this point. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving, more from the indigenous perspective. So that's how we're going to do that. So Nicole, you want to kick things off with the verdict? I don't like to call it the Arbery trial. So I'm gonna talk about the names of the guilty.
I
So
think it was great. I think that it was definitely something that America as a whole needed today, considering the previous verdicts that we've had at the beginning of the week. So I truly think that it was something that was needed, and they met the elements. And I think that the prosecution did a wonderful job. I think that she hit the nail on the head when she said you can't start a fight and then claim self-defense. Uh, that was powerful because that put it into perspective 100% that these were three people that pretty much followed, pursued, and attacked him like like he was some type of animal that had killed their chickens. You know what I mean? And he had did absolutely nothing wrong but walk, through a
but he was an
neighborhood
animal that I guess they were protecting some property or empty house. I mean, it's kind of
that
like
wasn't theirs, though, right? So
but the whole dynamics of with Kyle Rittenhouse being found not guilty and them being found guilty, but it's kind of almost the same premise. There was property involved, so I think everybody should have been guilty, but that's just me. There's the different circumstances, I guess. There were
right,
some slight different circumstances that led to the different results.
right.
Many say that the verdict was fair and the jury got it right on both sides.
Well, I don't know about on both sides, but I know today they got it right. 100%. They got it right. And I think the judge, he did a wonderful job. He was impartial. And I will definitely say today there was justice. We don't see it often. So I will say today, plus one America. For the time being.
Right, right. That was a well needed verdict. So I was happy to hear that the Mick, what was their last name? I mean, we don't like to call the Aubrey trial, but I always forget the Mick something.
I knew
Father,
father
son.
and
Everybody
son.
was guilty. Neighbor
Yep.
and neighbor. Them.
And they can share all they can share. All they can go to the same prison and share commissary.
I saw you say that. They can share commissary. Yeah, so that was wonderful. So coming off of that, we're talking about prosecutors. We'll get into our Governor Hogan um, and his recent crime plan, specifically for Baltimore City. I mean, he is the governor of the whole state of Maryland, and he specifically has issues. And there. I mean, crime is terrible here.
Mhm.
Um, I was going along in the beginning, like, okay, yes, crime is bad. We have to do something. And then it seems that Governor Hogan specifically said he's going to withhold some funding from the state's attorney's office. And I believe in audits and reviews. You know how we're all about having an audit of every agency, you know, across the state, across the city to see how people are performing. I get it. But I mean, do you think that's an attack on Marilyn Mosby specifically?
First of all, when I see people talking about Marilyn Mosby and she's not doing her job, it's bothersome, I would say, because number one, she's just the prosecutor. She's not the judge. She's not the jury. If she's not given evidence that that can stick, then and is in violation of the law, like how is she held accountable for a judge and a jury that any defendant entitled to? So these are issues that I think that people want a name and a face, and of course a black face is even better,
A black
to
woman's
say,
face
yeah, a
is
black woman's face
woo,
is better to
you're
say,
winning on
hey,
all fronts there.
right. Like, so, the attacks that they use against her are just unjust. So to say that you want to withhold funding, and that you want to go through her records. I mean, if you were to take, let's say, a prosecutor from another jurisdiction, PG County, Montgomery County, wherever, and they came into Baltimore City up under the same elements. I mean, the same variables that she's having to go up under. Will they win cases? That's my question. So to say that you're going to withhold funding and all of this, and just for Baltimore City, I think it's another attempt at the state to devalue the land. And once they devalue the land with crime and the fact that people aren't doing their jobs, you have all these developers that are coming in and buying it up because it's cheap, cheap, cheap. It's another ploy and it's another attack. And I mean, trust me, I'm no 100% supporter of any of them. I mean, I think that all of them have some work that can be done. But I mean, the stuff that they're going after her for is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, so here's how I look at it, and I'm trying to be impartial as I always am, and I'm not a fan. You and I are not. We're very impartial. We're very unbiased. We're not a fan of anybody. No one's gonna say I'm a fan of them. But here's what I will say about this, and even when I was on the other network speaking with the Republicans, and they were attacking Marilyn Mosby and her policy of not prosecuting certain low-level crimes. Statistically, that has not changed crime. When you do less arrests, more arrests do not change crime. It doesn't reduce crime. But what I will say is where Governor Hogan kind of, like we've gone wrong is you're saying that you're increasing funds for police force. You want to, increase their salaries. Marilyn Mosby's response was that she's understaffed and they're underpaid. Why, if Governor Hogan in fact wanted to fix the problem, why didn't he increase the state's attorney's budget? Why is he now withholding money? I understand you want a review of that, and every agency and everyone should get that. You're like, what are you doing with your money? However, when you talk about law enforcement, aren't you also talking about the prosecutor's office? Aren't they part of law enforcement? Don't they work with law enforcement? So you're increasing the salaries of the police officers. Perhaps he should have put money in and increased the salaries of the state's attorneys if he's so concerned about their prosecuting and not prosecuting cases. That would have made sense to me. I look at them as part of law enforcement. Now, my whole take on this, and like I said before on the other network when they were accusing her of not prosecuting crimes, to me, it comes down to the police not policing as well. And they can say they're not policing because, they don't want to get in trouble or they don't want to work with Marilyn Mosby. Whatever the case is, the bottom line is you're still a police officer. You still wear a badge. You still get paid by my tax dollars. You're still out there and you still have a duty to protect. And you will still do your job, regardless of who the prosecutor is, regardless if you agree with her or not agree with her or him or whomever. That is still your job. I can't say I'm not doing my job because I'm afraid I'm going to go to jail. If you do your job correctly, you're not going to go to jail. So that's just my take on it. I do feel it was too specific. Of course, we're concerned with crime in our city. We live and work and have businesses in the city. I'm very concerned. I'm not happy. But it's deeper than that. It's not just Marilyn Mosby. It is
Exactly.
not Marilyn Mosby. Okay, we have judges that are light on sentencing. He wants to know about repeat offenders. Well, they're not a repeat offenders if they weren't convicted at some point, right? I mean, so there's something happening. And the low level crimes, if you have she's low on staff, they've written articles about that. So I almost feel like she's damned if she does and she's damned if she doesn't.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, if she did convict low level crimes, someone would be complaining. If she did, there's nothing she can do. So the governor should put the money where his mouth is, and if he's increasing salaries of law enforcement, increase the state's attorney's office budget. That's showing the bias right there.
Exactly.
I think he played his hand and he showed his bias.
Yeah, he did, and I mean, not just the prosecution office for the state's attorney. I think that at the same time, he also needs to look at the parolee office, because and the fact that when they come out, they can't get jobs. So I mean, it's full circle. It's so many different things that could have been looked into. But the whole threat of withholding funding, I mean, there's a million other things that he could withhold funding for.
How about he withhold some funding for all the contracts we know?
Yeah.
So that's where I think is really the problem is. Let's go to all this mismanagement of funding within city contracting alone.
Hello.
Where could that money really go? Maybe they can loan the state's attorney's office some money to get more, to help reduce crime. I mean, it's just so specific. There's so many other areas, rec centers, programs for kids, and not going to nonprofits that aren't really going to do any work, but going to actual nonprofits that are going to do some work. So we can't just blame Marilyn Mosby. Now it's the heightened election season.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Bates has thrown his hat in the ring, which, his hat, I don't think it ever left the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He just dusted it off. So we have another candidate out there. I don't know who their preferred candidate is, but, at any rate, again, a black woman, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. She can't even buy a house.
Look, she can't own more than one house. She can't sell the house. It's like, damn, what can you do? If she did it, that they'd be like, what is she doing with her money? I don't know. It's, again, I don't agree with everything. Like, I don't agree with the whole, social,
mm-hmm.
the socializing. I think that the city's in a situation, and you're in the situation, and you're being under a magnifying glass. I really think there should be some more, just staying under the radar, grinding hard, and, the socializing, the celebrity. Okay. But otherwise, I really don't know what to say. I don't see anything wrong.
Right. Well, she hit back today, so I guess we will see. The scary part, I guess, is that once again, it is an attack, I think, on Baltimore, because PG County, the same thing. Their crime statistics are pretty up there. And they're not necessarily a target. Again, it's back to devaluing the land. And I think that, they're going to keep saying, oh, we're doing what we can for the crime and the crime. We're at 308 now, 308 people murdered in the city of Baltimore. And the whole thing is that now you want to talk about dollar houses. I mean, we know what it is. I mean, this is not in my neighborhood all day. If people ever read the book, it's specific, and it talks about, crime being utilized as a tool to devalue. And that's what it is. I mean, we're being bought and sold. Baltimore City has been bought and sold 100%. Today, the Board of Estimates meeting, bought and sold. I mean, every time I turn on there, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I just want to pack my bags like that guy on Snoopy. What was it? Charlie Brown or Linus, and just pack up and go.
Look, I literally put in the comments, I'm gone, because I was getting so frustrated, and I didn't know the full scope of it. I didn't look at the agenda. I wasn't prepared until you told me to check it out. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what are they talking about? I mean, I got so frustrated. I had to go. I had to go before I put something in there I was going to completely regret. I typically regret most of the things that I say, but I was like, let me get out of here, because nobody, Nick Mosby is asking about, can we get a schedule with some variances? They were talking about the development for the CIAA tournament, BDC, your favorite folks. We're running that. You can get into that. But my whole thing was, why is Nick Mosby asking for variances, and then the attorney representing whomever is like, oh, we don't know the unknowns. I mean, Nicole, this is project management. We've talked about this before. That's risk management. That's an integrated master schedule. You have a schedule when you're doing any project, particularly construction, and you have a deadline. You build a schedule, and you put variances and variables and known and unknown risks. You rank them, and you schedule accordingly. They were saying, well, how are we supposed to do that? And it's like, I feel like it's like a mentorship or a training program almost that's going on in Baltimore City, and everybody's just kind of learning. And I feel like the professionals are just watching, and they're giving them, like, I don't know, a case study or something, and they're screwing it up, but it's not real. But this is real. These are people's dollars and money, and opportunities are being just left on the table. And it's unfortunate. It's hard to watch.
And my main concern, with the whole thing is, again, it took them a long time to get to the question of minority participation. But you have two large corporations that are involved in this. They're billion-dollar white companies from outside of the Baltimore City area.
Yeah, and Art Blackshear, he's on here. He knows about Clark Construction.
Yeah,
and his friends.
And I mean, my whole thing is that how much minority participation? They came with a vague number. They said that they were going to have like 40% across the projects, I guess, to include like vendors that are going to be at the arena. So I mean, it's just holding them accountable for that, because we're going to want to see the 40%. We're going to want to
But
see the
who holds them
vendors.
accountable?
Well, the same person that wants to withhold the state funding should, because I think
So
that's where you
when
need to
they do that
start.
commitment to comply, then when they do the commitment to comply, it's very similar to Poppleton.
Mm-hmm.
That project going on, La Cité and Poppleton, that is the same thing. And who's monitoring it? Where are the numbers at? How do we know how they're doing? We don't know that, so we're not going to know. I don't think we're going to know. I think by the time we find out, it will be too late. But it's just not. It's not. We don't know what the minority participation is. CIAA tournament coming to Baltimore is a big deal, but the city has a lot to do before then. And my issue with the Board of Estimates, and I'm just going to say for anybody else that watches it, when you see the Sons of Baltimore on there debating and asking those questions, don't be fooled, because they've been briefed by their agencies the week before. They know what's going on the agenda. They're aware of it. All of that is just to me. That's what frustrates me. That's why I know the process. I'm part of the process. Don't sit there and say, "Oh," and the mayor's asking, "What's the minority participation?" Dude, you don't know. It's your agency. You BDC. It's your nonprofit that you guys have contracted basically to do this stuff. You already knew what the goals were. You already saw the agenda. You already approved the agenda. You already went through that. Don't sit on television like you're just now asking. That's ridiculous. And once things go over the estimates, that's it. It's gonna go. They've never changed or turned anything. They'll postpone it. They come up, but they'll never change anything. And still trying to reserve that contract. That's my attention. Had an attorney kind of call out an MBE as being a front company. I forget which contract it was. I don't know. They held it. They delayed it. They kept delaying it. They kept delaying it. I don't know if it was ever awarded. I don't know what happened. Like, things just kind of drop off the wayside. You really got to watch the Board of Estimates. It's quite interesting. But
And I encourage people to tune
money.
in. Yeah, I encourage people to tune in every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. They're not, because that is a discussion. It talks about our tax dollars and the lack thereof of it being properly used. And it's scary and informative at the same time. I mean, you may come out of there and you're going to be very heated for the most part. So, you have to listen. So I guess we'll see. I think that there needs to be a watchdog group, maybe citizens of Baltimore, where they can start to watch these MBE programs. Like, someone needs to do it at this point, because we cannot depend on the city agencies to do it. That's for sure, because they're not doing that. So what do we do but create a watchdog group?
And they're juggling so many balls in front of us. I know that's funny. They're juggling so much in front of us that we can't keep our eye on anything. It's like, oh, it's moving. So you have to prove that concentration just on procurement and board estimates. You got to break it down, because you can't follow all of it. You can't follow all the development. You can't follow everything going on the board of estimates. You can't follow crime. You'll go nuts and you will have no time. So you really have to have concentrated people to look into specific areas. And in order to accomplish anything, citizens absolutely need to do that. We're going to have to
they have watchdog groups. Yeah, they have watchdog groups that target certain things, and I think that needs to be one that is targeted. I think it needs to start with any open contract that the city has. I think that because it is informative. They want to talk about reducing crime. You cannot reduce crime without having opportunity for those offenders and for those people to stay out of offending. How can you? They have to eat. You have to eat every day. So if I don't have a job, then what am I going to do? I'm going to have to rob that person so that I can eat. I mean, it's not rocket science. You know what I mean? It's one thing is going to feed the other. And I think that if they really want to talk about getting to the bottom of crime, they're going to have to talk about opportunity and the lack thereof. It's moving and shaking over there. I can't hear you. I think your mute is still on.
No, it was off. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, it's a bad area.
You guys, I see you.
I know. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
It's kind of in and out. Okay. Oh. Okay. Can you hear me?
I do.
No.
I hear you.
I think there's a delay. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Um. So.
Your mute keeps going on.
What were you talking about?
I was saying that they cannot reduce crime without having opportunity. So I think that we do need the watchdog groups to come in and to start monitoring some of these contracts that are being awarded. And they need to start calling the city out and some of these people that are basically stating that they can't find minorities to participate. Because if you want to reduce the crime, you have to have opportunity. Because if not, what are people going to do? Because they have
Nicole,
to
they
eat.
don't want to reduce the crime.
No, they don't. I don't think so either.
They don't want to.
I'm convinced. Well, after that whole
so
tree
simple.
debacle, yeah. Can you hear me? No,
that
I
whole
would say
after tree trust.
Yeah, that whole thing was just a mess because those were repeat offenders, correct? That they were going to employ
I'm
in
out
the city.
Sticks. Can you hear me at all?
I do. I hear you. Your mic is off. Your microphone's off. Your microphone's off. Lord have mercy. So it's just me. I guess she's gonna come back. But my thing is go ahead. Let me hear from I guess the audience in regards to we got double Tamara. Oh boy, they really
not two of me. Good grief. That would be a problem. So I would say that's why we need better infrastructure. I hope they actually do something with this infrastructure money because you can't go from point in the United States like your Wi-Fi is horrible.
Yeah, but it's gonna be interesting because I think more people are becoming engaged in the process. So we shall see. I think it's going to be some changes, hopefully.
Absolutely. I hope so. I hope we can keep the momentum until they wear us out. But I was saying I would like for Governor Hogan to come up with more comprehensive. It wouldn't have looked so targeted. And again, if I was sitting in an office there in the state, I would have said, hey, Governor Hogan, you may not want to approach this just attacking Marilyn Mosby. How about you do it on a 5-point front and talk about opportunity and talk about other things? Otherwise, you're going to kind of look like you're attacking them and it's going to look very political. I mean, it's just common sense. I don't know. That's just me. You need to talk about what are they doing with all of the state funding on all things,
and opportunities. Exactly. Because it was interesting fact he comfortable attacking her and he was really soft on Brandon Scott. And I thought that was very interesting, to say the least, because at the end of the day, the full gamut, the hammer stops with him. I mean, no. And he was very soft. Like he went very soft on Brandon. And I thought that was very interesting.
Right. There was no talk of the police department, the police chief, no talk about anything else, just Marilyn Mosby.
Because let's talk about the schools. Let's talk about the schools.
Nothing about the school. Nothing. It was so specific. And I think that's where he erred. But again, it's and people just, we've talked about this many times. It's just so easy to attack a Black woman, and it is political, and it's just so easy. It's just easier, I guess. And yeah, they've bantered back and forth, and people get really protective of Baltimore. But if you're out there saying, "Hey, Governor Hogan, don't attack my city," I'm going to speak to those people. I hope you don't commit crimes in my city. You know what I'm saying? Like, be just as protective of your city, and be cautious of that. Don't give anybody anything to say. Why don't we do that? That's all I'm saying. But it does come down to, Brandon, he was like that when Trump was attacking Baltimore. And I get being protective. Why don't you do your job instead of cutting ribbons? It's going to take more than cutting ribbons to fix the city. You got a city administrator in place so you could do more ribbon cutting. And we don't even hear from the city administrator. Where is Christopher Shorter?
I was going to say, who's that?
Where he at? I don't even remember what he looks like.
Well, he said to call him if the city agencies were not answering their phones.
They ain't been answering the phone for you. Did you call them yet?
They finally did call me back after 2 weeks. They did call back from my messages. Yeah, so finally they did call back.
That's not what his memo said. He wanted things in a certain amount of time, like 24, 48 hours, something like that.
They're all good for sound bites. And I think that, that's really what it becomes, is just a sound bite after a while, because they're not even there. I think they just had like a rally or something, right? Where they were basically rallying because the city offices weren't open.
The city offices aren't open. And that's another thing. It's like, we're still kind of in a state of emergency, I guess. That makes things a little easier for them. Like, I couldn't, like today, I'm making comments on the page on the Board of Estimates. I couldn't be in there. I couldn't, protesting. Everything just feels a little different, and it's a little less public. And, that they're comforted in that, and they've gotten used to that. They don't want to come back to having to engage with us. They just don't. But you're out cutting ribbons. You don't have your mask on. You're all over the place. But you shut all other services down. But you are still providing ribbon cutting and ceremony services. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Y'all in the mayor's suite at football games. It's like, can we just get some services, please?
They're giving you services. They're giving you cameras on 83 for a no bid contract. So get prepared.
Look, I haven't dug into. Can you hear me? I haven't dug into that one enough. I'm gonna dig into that one next week. Well, I'm gonna dig into that one next week.
The Brew is on it. The Brew. I saw Fern, and they've already been posted. Everyone is talking about these speed cameras coming to 83, and the fact that that basically, Nick Mosby, council president, he did vote nay. He said that he's been fussing about it, I guess, for the last weeks. That's what he said.
What's his nay gonna do? What's that one nay gonna do?
He tried. I mean, he was outnumbered. The one guy, the one with the red nose, him, and then the other ones, brand.
Look,
yeah, him.
Look, the day that Jim Shea and Mr. Mitchell, the director of DPW, vote different than Brandon Scott, that's the day when the mess works. The Board of Estimates will never work because, if I know 3 people are going to say yes, and that's all it's going to take, and it's going to make me look good if I say no, well, shit, I'm going to say, excuse my language, I'm going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to pass.
My thing is where is Isabel? Like, is she going to release a report anytime? I mean, for the past 2 months. I want to know who. I want to know. Yeah, we're going to put up a wanted poster because I haven't seen any reports from her. I am curious.
I was like, Nicole, I haven't. She hasn't put a report out since September. What's going on?
And that's scary. That's scary. Like, because we know it's stuff going on in the city that should be investigated. So I'm curious to know, like, is she at a stop loss because she's either
coming out with something big,
or she's waiting to hear whether or not, I guess, they're going to keep her on. I'm confused. It's a lot of confusion that's going on, you know.
It's been exactly 2 months since a report has come out. 60 days. I'm just saying.
That's scary. So what is she working on? I'm curious to know because I still want to hear more about the water meters. Look, I'm like, that just kind of just dissipated, you know what I mean? And people's
Did
water
we
bills
ever
are
get
so
a
much.
final conclusion on the water billing, the water meters?
No. No, we
Okay,
didn't.
I thought it was
No,
just
no,
me.
we didn't. No,
Okay.
it just kind of just went by the sidelines. I guess they said that maybe we were busy with other stuff, you know, and
We were busy with 300 murders. We were busy with schools. We were busy with a lot of things. And I heard, today, I'm sorry, I heard this thing about the aggressive schedule for the CIAA tournament, making sure things are done on time. How come they didn't do that when the schools were closed for so long to make sure the air filters and things, I don't know, air conditioned heat, stuff like that? How come that's not aggressive?
because the
They were talking
kids.
about the whole process and how long it takes when it comes to that. But now they're talking about an aggressive schedule and they want to know any mitigation plans and they want contingency plans and they want to know all that for the CIAA. Now, I granted it's going to bring money to the city, and we
Hopefully.
do need it. And but I was like, when they were talking about Lady Gaga and all these concerts, I'm like, what about the kids? What about the children? When can we get the kids? What's going on with the school board? Again, we are so
Well,
overwhelmed.
here's my thing: has the CI has it been awarded? Because from they're still in competition, and I personally, I mean, I'm gonna call it now. I don't really see it really coming to Baltimore, and I'm saying that because most people have a fear. Baltimore is
It's
ranked up there.
coming. It's coming under Catherine Pugh.
Well, but from my understanding, that it's still that it could still go to another city. That's how they were making it seem today, that they did not want
Well, I
it
think this
to.
year coming up.
They were making it seem like they didn't want it to
I'm
go
sorry, there's a
to.
delay, Nicole.
No, they were making it seem today, like in the hearing, that it could go to Richmond. It could go to, other places. And I was like, well, does Richmond have 308 murders? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are important things. So if you want people to come and not fear, don't you think that you need to tackle this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Right.
that's a
I
start.
thought they secured 2022. I don't know how long it is. If it's just 2022, we have to continue to compete, or if it was like 2022. I think it's like a lump of years.
Okay.
So thereafter, we have to, continue, I think, to solicit to get the CIAA tournament to come to Baltimore. And I think it's going to be predicated on how well it does, of course, in 2022. So there's a lot of pressure. But how are you going to do that when residents are talking about getting beat over the head with squeegee,
carjacked, the carjackings
with squeegee boys or men? Right? Like, are we almost like entrapping people and luring them here? I mean,
I don't know. It's scary. It's really scary. I mean, I hope it does, because the businesses of Baltimore definitely need it. But I think, again, it's not very well thought out. Because the gentleman today was talking about, it could turn into people wanting to buy into Baltimore, bring businesses into Baltimore. Has he been watching what's been going on? These business owners are upset. We're not talking about the ones that they pick and choose, that they want to help. We're talking about the overall business community that is upset, So I'm confused.
we're talking to he runs BDC. I mean, isn't that what we contracted the nonprofit or for-profit to bring economic? Oh, I'm confused. I'm sorry. I'm just be quiet.
The whole thing with the BDC is very confusing to me. Because I don't know, like, do they have minority participation goals? That is one of my main concerns, that they're getting a lot of the city funds for projects, and then they delve out this money to these certain people, whatever. And let me make the disclaimer: when I did my building, I got reimbursed. It was a reimbursement grant for money that I spent from the BDC, 9,000 and some change. So, but my thing is that for these future contracts, how do we know that they are making minorities a important part of this? We're talking millions of dollars. We're not talking 9,000. We're talking
Right.
millions of
That's why
dollars.
BDC. I mean, it's like I don't know how they determine what goes to BDC, what becomes a city contract. I don't know if it's where the pot of money comes from. I don't know how they determine it. I can tell you when I was in the MBE office, I don't recall dealing with anyone in BDC. So
But from my understanding, they do have a clause, like something was written
a
into.
commitment to comply,
Mm-hmm,
like I was saying with
mm-hmm.
Poppleton, the one that we saw, where it's like I commit to comply to the MBE regulations, and I commit to comply to 40% participation. But the problem is, even with city contracts, where not they commit to comply, where they are, it's part of their contract to comply. We don't even know how that's doing. Still, we talk about that all the time. So how they don't follow? They don't. Who's reporting it? Who do they report it to? If I'm a prime and I won that contract or that work, who am I submitting my paperwork to? It's not the MBE office in the law department. I mean, who's holding them accountable, and then what happens if they don't?
And that's where Hogan needs to start.
No,
Right
I mean,
there.
if you want to get on that, yeah, you want to report, get a full report.
Mm-hmm.
What is the city doing with all the money?
Exactly.
Like crime has many prongs to it. It's a very complicated thing, and you cannot point one finger at a prosecutor.
No,
you can't do it. That is, that is like me working out and eating what I want. It's not gonna work. I have to do more than one thing. I gotta eat better. You can't. You cannot just say prosecute, and the police aren't even. I mean, look at how many police are arresting. Have you asked the police department about their arrest statistics? You're giving them more money. You're staffing them. Ask them those statistics.
Yeah.
I've never heard him say anything about the police commissioner.
308 murders today. That's a lot.
One murder is a lot. I mean, and we can't become desensitized to that. We can't start saying, like, I remember one person saying, I looked at all of the crime, and I meant to pull that up today. If I wasn't in transit, I really had statistics where I was going to look over a 20-year, I sent you that link, like looking at the crime history. And we are going to have we're working on having a former police commissioner come on and talk about that. And look at the crime statistically over the years. And like, I was looking at it like, when crack hit the scene, like I'm looking at all the variables and how the rates increase, but we are really at a very high level. And one thing we have to understand is that the crime has changed. The criminal has changed. The drugs have changed. We have different drugs out there now too. So there's not one way to slay this beast. And I think Governor Hogan definitely was wrong in just pointing at Marilyn Mosby. It's very tactical, and it was very tacky. I think it was tacky.
It was. And I think, to me, I think she kind of should have just stayed silent, because silence sometimes is the best response. Because maybe she should have just sent him a postcard and said, hey, opportunity, judges,
has he ever asked
jury.
Have they ever met? Like, I mean, I know.
I don't know.
I don't know how that works, but he has a lot to say. I don't know how much the Attorney General's office is really doing either. I mean, there's some cases they need to take on. I'd like to see those statistics. There's a lot of corruption going on under their feet.
And there's asleep at the wheel. I mean, I could run a list.
Yeah,
start with,
office. Can we start fighting some of this corruption in City Hall? Can we arrest some people? These politicians are getting away with everything, and then they pin it on one person, but everybody's walking around stuffing their pockets. And when this $670 million hits, or when it continues to hit through these nonprofits, people are running out there and forming real quick.
It's going to be a problem. And what's interesting is that we were actually discussing a nonprofit today, one that basically encompasses the southwest portion of Baltimore City, and the fact that they take grant funding to purchase real estate. I mean, that's not their charter. Their charter was to redevelop portions of West Baltimore. You have businesses and business owners that can't get money from, I guess, this development corporation, because they're using the money to buy properties. I mean, it's astounding what goes on with these nonprofits, and when you scrutinize them, it's like oh, you're picking on them, or oh, you have a problem. No, the problem is that how come so much money goes to so many other nonprofits and one side of Baltimore looks the way that it does? And when you take that same street, whether it's Pratt or Baltimore, it's like the tale of two cities. That's a problem for me. That's where the problem is, because I don't think that, I think if you're going to put money on this side, you should put money on that side. That creates balance.
I mean, I think Main Streets is cute, but some of us have to take the alley. And so we have to make sure that the alleys are also clean, because they are also part of our infrastructure. They are also part of our core, and they are also, there's businesses in the alleys. There's businesses in the non-main streets. And so I don't get the whole thing about main streets. It's kind of beyond me, because I'm like, oh, if I'm over here, like, it's just weird to me, considering. But that's just me. I think
Well, West Baltimore Street could be a main street. The problem is that the money that's been targeted for that area is being utilized for other things. When you have, a organization that is pumping $400,000, 500,000, $1 million just to acquire properties, instead of helping the owners of those buildings on that street, then this is what you have. And now that same organization is one of the biggest slumlords, from MLK to Fulton. My thing is that if what is the purpose? I don't get it. And again, a lot of this money is money that's being funneled down from the BDC down to these organizations. So my whole thing is where's the accountability? That's all I'm asking.
We're gonna do some investigating on the BDC. That's what we're gonna do. That's our task.
I'm just curious to know. Like, I just want to know. You know what I mean? Like, what is it?
I do too.
What are they? What do you really do? And whether or not they actually have to adhere to the state and the federal, guidelines, as well as the city.
Well, who do they adhere to? Yeah, who do they adhere to?
I don't know.
Why are they there? Why isn't it just a regular agency? Why is it quasi? Why is it
I don't know.
Well, I have questions.
And then it's something different. It's something new, some new spinoff that I was looking at the other day, that instead of them coming to the citizens of Baltimore City to talk about this new Baltimore Together initiative, it's something new that I was seeing. I sent it to you, and it's like they want you to pay $119. I don't have a problem with paying the money, but my thing is, what about those citizens that want to hear what this Baltimore Together initiative is? Because Baltimore has not been together for a long time. Again, if we go down one part of West Baltimore Street, as well as West Pratt Street, right, downtown through the harbor, and come all the way back, all the way west, it's the tale of two cities. So what part are we going to be together at?
Yeah, it's a lot going on. We're definitely, we try to stay away from it. We did some fun things, but we're definitely gonna get back into a lot, and we'll explore it. It's disturbing, and we just had to get it off our chest and talk about it today. Again, we just encourage everybody to be educated on what's going on in Baltimore City, because the city's really important to all of us. And on that note, I guess we're gonna do some history on Thanksgiving. And I wanted to read some things, but I don't know. I'm doing this from my phone in a car on the highway, so I don't know how this is gonna work. I've been having issues, so I don't want to risk it. But I did read a good article from the Smithsonian Institute about Thanksgiving and how different indigenous people celebrate and what they feel about tomorrow. And there were some people, and they did it state by state, because indigenous citizens are all over the United States. They're indigenous to this country and this land, and they were just saying different ways. Like, some people were saying, hey, we celebrated the green corn, and I'm still going to celebrate, because they took they took this from us. Like, this celebration kind of came from us. The white man came to learn from us, so we do still celebrate. Some people feel like it was like introducing the indigenous citizens to a slaughtering. So, however you celebrate, we've all been through a lot over the last 2 years. We're all thankful. I'm not thankful for what happened to the indigenous citizens of this land, the people that actually own this land. I'm not thankful for that, but I am thankful. I'm thankful for Nicole, my friend, who's become my wonderful side. I'm thankful for this network and Donnie, and so I'm thankful for so many things. Our family, Art, who's on here, Black Shear in Oakland. Their show is on Thursdays from 7 to 8. Kamal, he's on the show on the network on Friday from 7 to 8. We've got I can't think of all the shows.
Chap and Small Homes. They're on Monday. Yep.
They're on Mondays from 7 to 8. So there's always programming from 7 to 8. And then Donnie has his morning shows every morning from 9 to 10. And so I'm very grateful for this network and telling the truth. And we have to continue to tell the truth, and we have to continue to do it regardless of what's in our face, because people need us to tell the truth. So we look forward to some different programming. We've got some good guests hopefully coming up soon that will really get the conversation started and hopefully work on some solutions.
Yeah, well, I agree. I'm thankful for you and all of that, and Donnie and the show. Look at me, I'm moving this whole thing because I'm trying to keep it quiet from these kids running around. And just in general, I'm definitely thankful for the verdict, because I think that, we can try to at least enjoy the weekend, because I think that the world would have probably had an uprising. That verdict not went.
Turkeys in the bay, it would have been the Boston turkey party.
Yeah, because they were already lit. They were already lit up, for Rittenhouse. So, I think, today might have set it off, so I'm definitely thankful that the jury got it right. I'm thankful for the blessings and just to be in the presence and learning, because this whole politics is something new for me. I'm thankful for family first, because family is definitely important. And I'm thankful that, I am in a position to come back to the city, to be able to, fight and help in this fight to try to get it right.
Back to the city to run?
No, never to run. But I will put money behind the right candidate. I don't have a problem. And I don't have a problem with that. But no, run me. No, I don't have the personality to do that. I don't. I don't.
That's what we need. We need people without the traditional status quo personality.
But see, I would tell people, I would be in there like, look, I don't like you. We're not going to
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Look, I don't like you. But that's not, you have to be diplomatic. You have to have diplomacy, and I don't have that.
Was running this country for 4 years was not diplomatic, and everybody loved him. He got all those votes. Who said you had to be diplomatic?
Gas prices was cheaper.
Listen, what... We need somebody with hands on. We don't need all that diplomacy. Where else it gotten us?
I was telling somebody earlier, I was listening to Brother Cam. I listened to this, he's a Islamic brother, and he basically was, he was like, we might have to bring Trump back. You see these prices?
No, I will pay for gas prices. I don't want Trump back. I'm sorry.
But guess what? It's gonna affect your heating bill too. So it's not.
I guess I better go out there and hustle, because I don't want a Trump back. Sorry. I'm gonna just go ahead and pay extra. I'm good. Thank you.
No more Donald Trump. Well,
I'm good. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. I'm gonna just save in other places. I'll go ahead and spend more. I'm good.
And Donald Trump. He said he coming back, so
Well, anyway, anything's possible.
We shall see. I mean, I'm just thankful for a lot. I'm thankful, but I'm definitely hoping that the city will get this. We're almost 1 year in, so I'm hoping, the next 3 that I don't know, year 2 we can turn it around or something. Something's got to give.
Okay. Well,
I'm hopeful.
Thanks for joining us on this bumpy ride. I'm sorry about, every week I say I'm going to just do it all better with more technology and more, and then here I am in the car. But next week will be better. Did you want to close out? Did you want to say anything else? I know a lot has been frustrating you. We've got 10 more minutes, or we can just,
Oh, I just want to say, tomorrow is definitely a time to embrace and enjoy your family. And I think that one thing that COVID has taught us is that at the end, that's all you have is health and family. We watch millions of people lose their jobs, not necessarily have the tools to survive, and become dependent on services from the government. So I think that we have a lot to be thankful for this year, if we made it out of all of that. My sister likes to say that right now we are living in revelations. I don't know, if, for those that do believe, but we are living in something. And I think that each day we have to be thankful for, so not just tomorrow, but every day, that we are making it, that we have food to eat. Our family is safe. We have loved ones, we have friends, because it's hard out here. It's very hard, and it's a lot of mean and cruel people. So I think that that's the most important thing, is to just be thankful every day, every day.
Absolutely. Be thankful. If you're watching this or know anyone that's watching this that is considering picking up a gun or considering violence, there is, a different, there are alternatives to violence. I just ask that hopefully there's a ceasefire. Period. I hate when we do a one day or a weekend ceasefire, because I feel like, okay, don't shoot these 3 days, but go ahead and shoot after the third day. But, I would love to see no more murders, no more violence against women, children, men, anyone, black, white, Asian, whatever. Just, I would love to see that in the city for the rest of the year. I can be hopeful. If you can be hopeful that Brandon's going to turn something around, then honey, I can hope we won't have another murder in this city for the
Listen,
rest of the year.
he had no choice but to turn it around.
Oh, he has a choice. We can turn him right around and put him right on, and say, "Go ahead and
We
exit,
got
sir.
three
When your
years
time is
though.
over, go turn right around,
3 years is
walk
a
on out."
long time, though. 3 years
Well,
is a
that's
long
okay.
time. It's a long
Anyway,
time. It's a long time.
well, yes, all enjoy your holiday, whatever you call it. Just want to respect all that have passed with the last few years of COVID. We've all lost someone we know, and just wishing prosperity, health, and knowledge and honesty and integrity, to everybody. All
Yeah,
right. So
that's it.
we'll close out. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for putting up with my bumpy ride. Here, I don't want to say that. My goodness. Rest in peace, Freddie Gray. This was not a bumpy ride. This was just a bad televised show. All right. Well, good night,
Good
Nicole.
night. Good
All right.
night.
Take care.
Enjoy.
We'll see you guys next week.
Happy Family Day.
Happy Family Day. Take care.
Bye bye.